Anxious. When a person is anxious, they worry that something bad will happen.
She was anxious about not making her appointment on time.
Awful. When something is awful, it is very bad.
Her performance last night was awful.
Consist. To consist of is to be made of parts or things.
Today's choices for lunch consisted of pizza, hamburgers, and hot dogs.
Desire. To desire is to want something.
My sister desires a big house and lots of money.
Eager. When a person is eager about something, they are excited about it.
The man was eager to talk about the good news.
Household. A household is all the people who live in one house.
Our household is made up of my father, my mother, and me.
Intent. An intent is a plan to do something.
Her intent is to visit Italy next summer.
Landscape. A landscape is how an area of land looks.
The landscape of the country is very green.
Lift. To lift something is to move it higher.
The man tried to lift the box.
Load. To load is to put objects into something.
The man loaded the boxes into a truck.
Lung. A lung is the organ in the body that fills with air when breathing.
Having strong lungs is necessary for a healthy life.
Motion. A motion is a movement that someone makes.
The police officer made a motion with his hand.
Pace. The pace of something is the speed at which it happens.
I ran the race at a slower pace than my friend.
Polite. When someone is polite, they are acting in a thoughtful way.
The boy was very polite. He behaved very thoughtfully.
Possess. To possess something is to have it or own it.
My uncle possesses 3 sheep, a chicken, a cow, and a dog.
Rapidly. When something happens rapidly, it happens very fast.
The train moved rapidly on the tracks.
Remark. To remark is to say something.
The teacher remarked on how quickly the students were learning.
Seek. To seek is to look for something.
If I have a problem, I seek my sister's advice.
Shine. To shine is to make a bright light.
The candles are shining in the dark room.
Spill. To spill is to have something fall out of its container.
I spilled the coffee on the table. The 12 months. An awful woman lived with her daughter and stepdaughter in her household. She possessed feelings of hate for her stepdaughter Anna. Anna worked while her stepsister did nothing. On a cold January night, Anna's stepmother remarked, "Your stepsister desires flowers. Go and find some." Anna wasn't anxious to walk through the chilled landscape. The cold air made her lungs burn. She walked at a slow pace because of the snow. Soon she saw a group of people. It consisted of 12 men. Anna told them about the flowers. One of the men said they were the 12 months and that they would help Anna. January walked to her and made a motion with his hand. The days of the month passed rapidly until it was February's turn. February also made the month speed up. Then March made the sun shine, and flowers grew in the field. Anna loaded her basket with so many flowers that she could hardly lift it. Then she gave a quick but polite thank you to the 12 men and returned home. She was very eager to show her stepmother all the flowers. Back at the house, she spilled the flowers onto the table. Then she told her stepmother about the 12 men. Anna's stepmother and stepsister went to seek the 12 months. Their intent was to ask for gifts. They looked and looked. They became very lost and never found their way home. Anna lived happily by herself.
Bring. To bring means to take someone or something to a person or place.
Oscar will bring in all the boxes.
Castle. A castle is a building with strong walls where royalty usually lives.
The castle was built many years ago.
Command. To command someone is to tell them to do something.
The general commanded his army to attack.
Counsel. To counsel someone is to listen and give advice about a problem.
The teacher counseled the girl about her troubles.
Insure. To insure is to make certain that something happens.
Eating good food ensures that we stay healthy.
Explosion. An explosion is a violent burst, usually with a loud sound.
A nuclear explosion can cause great damage.
Jewelry. Jewelry is something that people wear, like earrings or necklaces.
The woman looked beautiful with her nice dress and jewelry.
Land. To land means to come to the ground, usually from a ship or aircraft.
The parachutist landed safely on the ground.
Meteor. A meteor is a rock from outer space that falls to Earth.
We saw a meteor in the sky last night.
Monster. A monster is any imaginary frightening creature that looks strange.
The monster scared everyone in the village.
Northern. If something is northern, it is in the direction of north.
It is much colder in northern countries than it is here.
Remote. If something is remote, it is very far away and difficult to get to.
It took many days to get to the remote island.
Southern. If something is southern, it is in the direction of south.
Daegu is located in the southern part of the Korean peninsula.
Statue. A statue is an image of a person or animal made of stone or metal.
I saw a beautiful statue of a lion today.
Steam. Steam is water that has become hot and has turned into a misty gas.
We could see the steam rise from the boiling water.
Submit. To submit to someone is to agree to do what they tell you to do.
She submitted to her mother's wishes and did her homework.
Temple. A temple is a building that is used for religious purposes.
The people visited the temple to pray.
Upper. Upper means higher in position or place.
A home's attic is at the upper part of the structure.
Weed. A weed is a plant, especially one that is not useful or wanted.
The yard of the house was full of ugly weeds.
Wing. A wing is the part of an animal that lets it fly.
The bird used its wings to fly across the water.
The dragon. An evil dragon lived in a castle in the remote southern mountains. One day the monster landed in a town. The dragon commanded the people, "Give me food now, or I will eat you." The dragon lifted its wings so that its lungs could be completely filled with hot steam, and breathed it upon the people. A man turned into a stone statue. The people submitted and brought food. The dragon ate all of it and left. The people sent a boy to ask for help from a wise old man. He resided in a temple. The boy told the old man about the dragon. Then the old man counseled the boy, "A meteor will fall in the northern sky. It will make a huge explosion. Find the meteor and bring it to me. I will use it to make a sword for you." The boy did as the old man said. Soon, the sword was ready. Use this to kill the dragon, but be careful. You must cover yourself with weeds that smell bad. That will ensure that he does not smell you, the man said. The boy traveled for many days to find the castle. He went to the upper level and opened a door. He could see the dragon's tail. It was sleeping, so the boy killed it. Then he took the dragon's gold and jewelry and returned to his town. The people were happy. Arrow. An arrow is a thin, straight stick shot from a bow.
The arrow flew through the air and hit the target.
Battle. A battle is a fight between two armies during a war.
The battle lasted for many days.
Bow. A bow is a weapon made of curved wood and string that shoots arrows.
He went hunting with a bow and arrow.
Brave. When people are brave, they are not afraid to face pain or danger.
The brave firefighter saved the girl from the burning building.
Chief. A chief is the leader of a group of people.
The chief led the people through the mountains.
Disadvantage. A disadvantage is a situation where someone is likely to lose.
Mike had a disadvantage in the race since he hurt his knee.
Enemy. An enemy is a country that is fighting another country during a war.
The enemy prepared to attack the kingdom.
Entrance. An entrance is a place where someone can enter an area.
The gate was locked, so Bill had to find a different entrance.
Hardly. If something hardly happens, it almost does not happen at all.
I hardly saw the concert since I had to leave early.
Intend. To intend to do something means to plan to do it.
I intend to finish college in 3 years.
Laughter. Laughter is the sound produced by laughing about something funny.
Susan's joke made her classmates burst into laughter.
Log. A log is a thick piece of wood that is cut from a tree.
The fire was too small, so we added another log to it.
Military. The military is the armed forces of a country.
I joined the military after I finished high school.
Obey. To obey means to follow what a law or a person says you must do.
My little sister did not obey my mother. Now she is in trouble.
Secure. To secure something means to get it after a lot of effort.
I was able to secure a good grade on my test after weeks of studying.
Steady. When someone or something is steady, they are under control.
The problem was hard, but she remained steady and solved it.
Trust. To trust is to believe that someone is honest and will do what is right.
I trust my friends. They don't tell my secrets to other people.
Twist. To twist something is to wrap it around itself or another thing.
She twisted the spaghetti around her fork.
Unless. Unless means if not or except when.
Unless you clean your room, you cannot play with your friends.
Weapon. A weapon is an object that can be used to hurt people.
Swords have been used as weapons for thousands of years. The Battle of Thermopylae. This is a true story. It happened long ago in Greece. We must fight, the Spartan chief told his small army of brave men. They were at a great disadvantage. There were only 300 of them. The Persian military had hundreds of thousands of men. They were going to lose unless they could secure a small entrance. The enemy couldn't move through it easily. They intended to stop the enemy here. The chief and his men got ready for the battle. Soon, long lines of the enemy's army twisted around the hills. The chief met the enemy with laughter. He knew that his men's weapons and skills were better. The Spartans trusted their leader and obeyed him. First, the enemy soldiers shot arrows from their bows. The chief told his men to lift their shields. The arrows stuck into the shields but did not hurt any of the men. Then the enemy's soldiers attacked the Spartans with long spears. The chief surprised them. His troops rolled logs down on the enemy. They fought for 3 days. Though they hardly slept at all, the chief and his men remained steady. But the enemy found a way to beat the Spartans. The chief and all of his men were killed. Even though they lost, the Battle of Thermopylae is one of the most famous battles in history.
Chest. The chest is the front part of a person's body, under the neck.
The water in the lake was as high as my chest.
Confidence. If you have confidence about something, you are sure of it.
I have confidence that I did well on the test.
Consequence. A consequence is a result of a choice or action.
As a consequence of missing my bus, I had to find another way to work.
Disaster. A disaster is a really bad thing that happens.
When the car crashed, it was a disaster.
Disturb. To disturb someone means to upset them.
The loud noise disturbed me while I was working.
Estimate. To estimate something means to make a guess about it.
The boy estimated that he was 1 meter tall.
Honor. When you honor people or things, you show respect for them.
I honor my science teacher by working hard in class.
Impress. To impress someone means to make that person proud.
He was able to impress the girls with his new dance.
Marathon. A marathon is a very long foot race, just over 42 kilometers.
I ran a marathon and now my legs are tired.
Narrow. When something is narrow, it is very thin.
The bridge is too narrow for a car to drive over.
Pale. When something is pale, it does not have a bright color.
The girl's skin was very pale.
Rough. When something is rough, it is not even or smooth.
The rough ground hurt my feet.
Satisfy. To satisfy someone means to make them happy.
It will satisfy my teacher if I finish all my homework.
Scream. To scream means to make a loud noise with your mouth.
The girl saw a spider and screamed.
Sensitive. When someone or something is sensitive, they are easily hurt.
My teeth are sensitive to cold things.
Shade. The shade is a dark area that something makes when it blocks the sun.
It was hot outside, so the boy sat in the shade of a tree.
Supplement. To supplement something is to add something else to it in a good way.
He supplements his diet with fresh fruits.
Terror. When someone feels terror, they are scared.
I felt a sense of terror when the tiger chased me.
Threat. A threat is something bad that might happen.
Due to the dark clouds, there was a threat of a bad storm.
Victim. A victim is a person that had something bad happen to them.
I was a victim of a robbery.
The deer and his image. A deer told himself every day, "I am the most handsome deer in the forest. My large chest is a symbol of my power, and my beautiful horns impress other animals." But he did not like his legs and hooves. "My legs are narrow, and my hooves are ugly. They do not satisfy me." One day, the deer saw a big dog. The deer made some noise and disturbed the dog. The dog woke up and chased him. The deer felt terror. He screamed. He did not want to be a victim, so he ran into the forest. His strong legs helped him run fast. His pale brown hooves were hard, so they were not sensitive to rough rocks. However, his horns got caught in branches, slowing him down. His large chest could not fit between thick trees. The deer estimated that he ran for an hour. He felt like he was running a marathon. In the end, the deer escaped the threat of the dog. He sat in the shade of a tree. That was almost a disaster. I almost did not escape because of my chest and horns. My legs and hooves saved me. As a consequence, the deer learned to honor his fast legs and have confidence in his strong hooves. Pretty things only supplement important things, he thought. Ancestor. An ancestor is a family member from the past.
My ancestors came from Germany.
Angle. An angle is the direction from which you look at something.
The giraffe turned its head to see from another angle.
Boot. A boot is a heavy shoe that goes over your ankle.
He wore boots so that his feet wouldn't get wet.
Border. A border is the edge of an area.
The postcard had a pretty green border of pine needles.
Congratulate. To congratulate someone is to tell them that you are happy for them.
Bill and Angela congratulated each other on a job well done.
Frame. A frame is a border for a picture or mirror.
I have to get a frame for my friend's picture.
Heaven. Heaven is the place that some people believe people go when they die.
When I die, I hope that I go to heaven.
Incredible. If someone or something is incredible, it is hard to believe they are true.
I have an incredible story to tell you about my vacation.
Legend. A legend is a story from the past.
There is a well-known legend about a king and his queen.
Praise. To praise is to show that you like someone or something.
The coach praised both athletes after a good practice.
Proceed. To proceed is to go in a certain direction.
My son and I proceeded to the beach so we could go fishing.
Pure. If something is pure, it is very clear and beautiful.
The rose was pure. It had no dirt or imperfections.
Relative. A relative is a family member.
My relatives came by to see the new baby.
Senior. If one is senior, they are the oldest or have been there the longest.
Because he got his job first, Bob is the senior chef.
Silent. If someone or something is silent, they make no sound.
Since no one was home, the house was silent.
Sink. To sink into something is to slowly fall into it.
The boat had a hole in it, and it sank into the ocean.
Superior. If someone or something is superior, they are better than another.
I think cooking outdoors is superior to cooking indoors.
Surround. To surround something is to close in on it from all sides.
We surrounded the suspect on all four sides.
Thick. If something is thick, it is wide and solid.
The fog was so thick that I couldn't see through it.
Wrap. To wrap is to cover something on all sides.
I wrapped his gift and put a bow on it. May 29, 1953. Today is the most important day of my life. I finally climbed Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world. The top of the mountain was amazing. It felt like we were close to heaven. The snow was so thick that my boots sank. The air was silent. I looked at the beauty that surrounded me. Maybe my story will be a legend someday. I want people to remember this forever. I was the senior explorer in my group, and I knew we needed proof of our climb. I took many pictures with my camera. I'll put them in a frame and hang them. On the mountain, the air was very cold. I wrapped my coat around my body. I looked over the side of the mountaintop. From that angle, I saw the border of the clouds touch the rocks below. The snow was thick. It looked pure. There was no sign of modern life. Thousands of years ago, my ancestors saw the world this way. After 15 minutes, I knew it was time to proceed down the mountain. The whole team congratulated us. My superior, John Hunt, praised us all. I sent messages to my relatives to tell them that I was safe. But it was hard to leave the mountain so quickly. I wanted to enjoy the incredible sight even longer.
Abroad. If someone goes or travels abroad, they go to another country.
My brother wants to go abroad next year.
Anger. To anger someone is to make them mad.
It angers me when people are rude.
Bride. A bride is a woman who is getting married or has just gotten married.
The bride looked beautiful in her wedding dress.
Brief. If something is brief, it only lasts for a short time.
The meeting this afternoon was very brief.
Chase. To chase someone or something is to follow them in order to catch them.
I was chased by an angry native.
Disappoint. To disappoint is to make one feel sad or unsatisfied.
I do not want to disappoint my family, so I try to do well at school.
Dive. To dive is to jump into water.
I will dive into the lake once we get there.
Exchange. To exchange means to give something for another thing in return.
I exchanged my foreign money for American dollars.
Favor. A favor is something you do for someone to help them.
Can you do me a favor and turn off the lights?
Fee. A fee is an amount of money that a person or company asks for a service.
I had to pay an hourly fee to speak with my lawyer.
Forever. If something lasts forever, it means it lasts for all time.
The young couple promised that they would love each other forever.
Guy. A guy is an informal way to call a man.
The guy at the flower shop was really helpful today.
Lovely. If people or things are lovely, they are good-looking or beautiful.
The trees look lovely in the fall.
Mood. A mood is the way someone is feeling.
I'm in a good mood because I did well on my math test.
Palace. A palace is a very large building. It is often the home of a royal family.
The king and queen live in a beautiful palace.
Permit. To permit something is to let someone do it.
I was sick, so my mother permitted me to stay home from school.
Protest. To protest something is to argue about it with someone.
The people protested the decision of the president.
Sculpture. A sculpture is a piece of art that is made from wood, clay, or stone.
We saw an old sculpture of Buddha at the museum.
Tribe. A tribe is a group of people who live in the same culture.
There's a small tribe of people who live in the mountains of Spain.
Youth. Youth is a time in people's lives when they are young.
My mother wanted to be a nurse in her youth.
The Frog Prince. A lovely princess sat by the pool and played with a sculpture of a bear. Suddenly, she dropped it, and it rolled away. She chased it, but it fell into the water. She began to cry. A large, ugly frog asked, "Why are you crying?" After the princess told him, the frog said, "I can get the sculpture. What will you give me in exchange for the favor?" "I can pay you a fee in gold," she said. But the frog protested, "I want to sleep in your bed, and you must kiss me in the morning." He'd die without water, so I don't have to keep my promise, she thought. The frog dove for a brief moment and got the sculpture. Then the princess ran away with it. Later, the frog went to the palace. The king told her to keep her promise. This put the princess in a bad mood. She permitted the frog to sleep on her pillow. In the morning, she gave him a kiss. Suddenly, he turned into a guy. He said, "I'm from a kingdom abroad. In my youth, I angered a tribe of cruel witches, who turned me into a frog." The princess asked him, "Can I be your bride and stay with you forever?" But the prince said, "No, you disappointed me. You didn't keep your promise." Basis. To do something on time's basis is how often you do it.
My grandfather gets his hearing checked on a yearly basis.
Biology. Biology is the study of living things.
We learned about the human heart in biology class.
Cage. A cage is something that holds an animal so it cannot leave.
We put the parrots in their cage at night.
Colleague. A colleague is somebody you work with.
My colleague helped me finish the job.
Colony. A colony is a country controlled by another country.
The USA was at one time a colony of Great Britain.
Debate. To debate is to seriously discuss something with someone.
The husband and wife debated over which TV to buy.
Depart. To depart is to leave some place so you can go to another place.
The plane departed for Italy at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Depress. To depress someone is to make them sad.
The bad news from work depressed the man.
Factual. When something is factual, it is true.
John learns about history from factual books.
Fascinate. To fascinate someone is to make them really like something.
The kitten was fascinated by the ball of yarn.
Mission. A mission is an important job that is sometimes far away.
The woman's mission was to help sick people.
Nevertheless. You use nevertheless to show that something goes against a fact.
He is usually friendly. Nevertheless, he wasn't this afternoon.
Occupation. An occupation is a person's job.
My father's occupation is a dentist.
Overseas. If you go overseas, you go to a country on the other side of an ocean.
John often goes overseas for vacations.
Persuade. To persuade someone is to make them agree to do something.
The children persuaded their parents to buy them gifts.
Route. A route is the way you go from one place to another.
I saw many new houses along the route to the city.
Ruins. Ruins are old buildings that are not used anymore.
I visited some interesting ruins in Greece.
Scholar. A scholar is a person who studies something and knows much about it.
The scholar knew much about art history.
Significant. When someone or something is significant, they are important.
I read many significant novels as a literature major in university.
Volcano. A volcano is a mountain with a hole on top where hot liquid comes out.
When the volcano erupted, smoke and heat filled the air. A beautiful bird. Dr. Norton's occupation was a scholar of biology. He learned about all animals on a daily basis. One day he met a sailor from a colony overseas. The man told Dr. Norton about a talking bird. The bird fascinated Dr. Norton, so he told his colleagues about it. They debated with him. No one thought a bird could talk. He tried to persuade them, but they laughed at him. Nevertheless, Dr. Norton believed the bird was real. His new mission was to find it. He wanted factual proof. The next day he departed for the colony. The sailor he had met told him to look for a man named Jai, who would be able to help him in his search. After a month of sailing, Dr. Norton finally reached the colony where he met Jai. "I can take you to where it lives. It lives by the volcano," Jai said. They left the next day. A week later, they arrived at the volcano. Every day they walked around and looked for the bird, but they couldn't find it. After 1 month, Dr. Norton could not find the bird, and this depressed him. He decided to go home. On the route back, he walked past some old ruins. He heard someone say, "Hello." "Who are you?" he asked. Dr. Norton looked up and saw a bird. Dr. Norton put the talking bird into a cage. Then he returned home. He had made a significant discovery.
Broad. If something is broad, it is wide.
The river is very long and broad.
Bush. A bush is a plant with many thin branches. It is smaller than a tree.
My dad and I planted some small bushes around the house.
Capable. If someone or something is capable of something, they can do it.
The Olympic athlete is capable of lifting a lot of weight.
Cheat. To cheat is to be dishonest, so that you can win or do well.
They cheated on the test by sharing answers.
Concentrate. To concentrate on someone or something is to give your full attention.
I could not concentrate on my homework because the room was so loud.
Conclude. To conclude is to arrive at a logical end by looking at evidence.
I saw crumbs on my dog's face, so I concluded that he ate my cookie.
Confident. Confident means that one believes they can do something without failing.
She was confident she could climb the mountain due to her training.
Considerable. If something is considerable, it is large in size, amount, or extent.
They paid a considerable amount of money for that car.
Convey. To convey is to communicate or make ideas known.
That picture of a crying child conveys a feeling of sadness.
Definite. If something is definite, it is certain or sure to be true.
There is a definite connection between hard work and success.
Delight. Delight is a feeling of being very happy with something.
He felt such delight after getting a promotion at work.
Destination. A destination is the place where someone or something is going to.
The destination of this plane is Munich, Germany.
Dictate. To dictate something is to read it aloud so it can be written down.
He dictated his speech so his secretary could write it down.
Edge. The edge of something is the part of it that is farthest from the center.
He ran to the edge of the cliff.
Path. A path is a way from one place to another that people can walk along.
We followed a path through the woods.
Resort. To resort to something is to depend on it in order to solve a problem.
I hope they don't resort to violence to end the argument.
Shadow. A shadow is the dark area that is made when something blocks light.
The man's shadow was taller than he was.
Succeed. To succeed is to complete something that you planned or tried to do.
He will continue to work on the robot until he succeeds.
Suspect. To suspect something is to believe that it is true.
I suspect that those kids stole the money.
Valley. A valley is a low area of land between two mountains or hills.
We looked at the valley below from the top of the mountain.
Tricky turtle. Ricky the rabbit and Tara the turtle met by the edge of the river. No one is capable of beating me in a race, Ricky said. He was confident. His smile conveyed that. I can beat you, Tara said. Ricky laughed with delight. Tara said, We will race tomorrow. The destination is the hill. Ricky agreed. Tara concentrated on winning the race. She was not faster than Ricky. She needed a definite way to succeed. She told her family about the race. I have concluded that I have to resort to something bad. I will cheat. She dictated her instructions to them. At the race, they all wore white feathers. They looked exactly the same. Then her family members hid in shadows on the path. The race began. Tara was soon far behind. However, Tara's brother hid behind a bush in the valley below. When Ricky got close, Tara's brother began to run. He looked just like Tara. Ricky ran as fast as he could along the path. But to him, it seemed like Tara was always ahead. Ricky had used a considerable amount of energy. He reached the top, but Tara's sister was already there. Well, you win, Ricky said. Later, Tara had a broad smile on her face. Ricky never suspected. He had been tricked by a family of slow turtles. Admire. To admire someone is to like them for what they do.
I admire my brother for his hard work.
Aid. To aid someone is to help them when they need something.
The doctor aided the boy after his accident.
Attempt. To attempt something is to try to do that thing.
I am attempting to learn English.
Authority. Authority is the power that someone has because of their position.
The policeman has authority on the streets.
Capital. A capital is an important city where a country's leaders live and work.
We will visit the capital to learn about our government.
Cooperate. To cooperate is to work together to do something.
The students cooperated to clean up the classroom.
Defend. To defend someone or something is to protect them from attack.
The soldiers defended the town from the invaders.
Destruction. Destruction is damage to something so bad that it can't be fixed.
After the big fire, there was much destruction in the city.
Disorder. Disorder is a lack of order, or a complete mess.
The teacher's desk had many papers in disorder.
Division. A division is the act of making smaller groups out of a larger one.
The chart had 6 divisions which all had different colors.
Enable. To enable a person is to make it possible for them to do something.
Having the key enabled us to open the door.
Frustrate. To frustrate is to prevent someone from fulfilling their desire.
The machine frustrated me because I could not fix it.
Govern. To govern is to control the public business of a country, state, or city.
The United States is governed from the White House.
Plenty. To have plenty of something is to have more than you need.
The school had plenty of books for the students to read.
Relieve. To relieve someone is to make them feel less pain.
The medicine relieved the sick boy.
Reputation. Reputation is the opinion that people have about someone.
The doctor had a reputation for helping people.
Royal. Royal describes something that belongs to a king or queen.
The king sat upon the royal throne.
Slave. A slave is a person who is not free and must work for someone else.
The slave worked very hard all day long.
Struggle. To struggle is to fight against someone or something.
The kids struggled with each other for the toy.
Stupid. When someone is stupid, they lack intelligence.
He said something stupid that made everyone angry at him. The Tale of Bartleby O'Boyle. Long ago, there was a clever man by the name of Bartleby O'Boyle. As a boy, he was kept as a slave by the royal family. He saw other children play, but he always had to work. This frustrated him very much, but he was not stupid, and he wanted to change things. Then one day there was a struggle for authority in the kingdom. There was a division of the people, and one group fought against another group to see which would govern the kingdom. There was disorder in the kingdom. Bartleby ran away. He saw much fighting and destruction. Many people had nothing to eat. Bartleby decided to aid them. He would help them get food. But how? Bartleby went to the capital to find an answer. There, he met a man named Gilliam. A group of men attempted to hurt Gilliam. Bartleby defended him. Then he gave Gilliam some food to relieve his hunger. After that, the two became friends. They took food from the rich and gave it to the poor. Soon, other people cooperated with them. Working together enabled them to take more food. But they only took food from people who had plenty, and they always gave it to those who had none. Because of this, Bartleby gained a reputation across the kingdom. Even today, many people admire him for helping the poor.
Citizen. A citizen is someone who lives in a certain town or city.
Carlos was born in Spain. He is a Spanish citizen.
Council. A council is a group of people who run a city or town.
The council met to discuss the new laws for the city.
Declare. To declare is to say something officially.
I declared my love for him.
Enormous. When people or things are enormous, they are very large.
My dog looks enormous next to yours.
Extraordinary. When someone or something are extraordinary, they are amazing.
The fireman who rescued the girl was extraordinary.
Fog. Fog is a thick cloud that is near the ground or water.
I did not want to drive in the thick fog.
Funeral. A funeral is a ceremony that takes place after a person dies.
They had a funeral for the soldier who died during the war.
Giant. When people or things are giant, they are very big.
The giant truck got in my way.
Impression. An impression is the way of thinking about someone or something.
Most people's first impression of Dr. Gianni is that he is mean.
Income. Income is how much money a person or business makes.
Her company pays her a fairly good income.
Mad. When someone is mad, they are angry.
Mother got mad when I didn't listen to her.
Ought. If someone ought to do something, then it is the right thing to do.
I ought to take my library books back.
Resist. To resist something is to fight against it.
He resisted the treatment at the hospital.
Reveal. To reveal is to show something.
I will reveal where I hid the candy bar.
Rid. To rid is to make a place free from something or someone.
We rid our home of mice by using traps.
Sword. A sword is a long, sharp weapon.
They used to use swords in battles in ancient times.
Tale. A tale is a story.
She told her two friends about the wild tale of her day.
Trap. To trap people or animals is to capture them so they cannot get away.
We trapped butterflies in a net.
Trial. A trial is the way a court discovers if a person is guilty or innocent.
He went on trial for robbing the bank.
Violent. When people are violent, they want to hurt someone.
The man was put into jail because he was violent.
Blackbeard. A long time ago I had my first job. It didn't give me much of an income. It was on a giant pirate ship. On my first night, there was a thick fog over the water. A lamp on the ship revealed an enormous man. He had a sword in his belt. His name was Blackbeard, and he was one of the most violent pirates ever. One day, Blackbeard did an extraordinary thing. He attacked several ships near a town. He took some of the town's citizens. Then he declared, "You give me medicine." Blackbeard wanted the medicine for some of the sick pirates on his ship. The people had a bad impression of him. They were mad, and they resisted. But they were trapped. They wanted to get rid of him. So the town's council decided to give him the medicine. After this, there was a reward for catching Blackbeard. If Blackbeard was caught, he would have a trial. He didn't want to go to jail, so he quit being a pirate. Blackbeard became a fisherman, but he ought to have stayed on land. The Royal Navy was still looking for him. They attacked him while he was fishing on his boat. Blackbeard fought against many men. Finally, he was killed. He didn't even get a funeral. But people still tell tales about him many years later. Admission. Admission is the act of allowing to enter a place.
The admission ticket to the movie was $5.
Astronomy. Astronomy is the study of the stars and planets.
Harold loved watching the stars, so he decided to study astronomy.
Blame. To blame someone for something bad is to say they did it.
My mom blamed me for something I didn't do.
Chemistry. Chemistry is the study of and reaction to substances.
In chemistry class, the professor taught us about chemical reactions.
Despite. If something happens despite what you do, it happens anyway.
We still played the game despite the cold weather.
Dinosaur. A dinosaur is a very big animal that lived millions of years ago.
I like to see the dinosaur bones at the museum.
Exhibit. An exhibit is a display of interesting things.
There was an animal exhibit at the fair.
Fame. Fame is reputation one has gained among the public.
He had fame and fortune, but he was not happy.
Forecast. A forecast is an idea about what the weather will be like in the future.
The forecast says that it will rain all week.
Genius. A genius is a very smart person.
Since she was a genius, she easily passed all of her school exams.
Gentle. Someone who is gentle is kind and calm.
He is very gentle with the baby.
Geography. Geography is the study of where things are.
I had to draw a map for geography class.
Interfere. To interfere is to cause problems and keep something from happening.
My little sister always interferes when I'm trying to study.
Lightly. To do something lightly is to not push very hard.
Draw lightly so you do not tear your paper.
Principal. A principal is a person in charge of a school.
My school's principal can be very strict with the rules.
Row. A row is a line of things.
James put all of his toy soldiers into neat rows.
Shelf. A shelf is a place on a wall where you put things.
I keep my clothes on a shelf in my closet.
Spite. If you do something out of spite, you want to be mean.
He snuck into his sister's room and stole her bag out of spite.
Super. Super means really good.
My dad said I did a super job cleaning the house.
Wet. If something is wet, it has water on it.
Since my dog was wet, he tried to shake all the water off his body. Dinosaur drawings. It was the worst morning ever. When Carl woke up, he realized that he didn't do his astronomy and chemistry homework. Also, the forecast called for rain, and that would affect baseball practice. Suddenly his mother yelled, "Take out the garbage right now!" When Carl returned from taking the garbage outside, he was all wet. "What a terrible day," he said. He walked to class. He put his umbrella on the shelf and sat in the third row. But the teacher asked why Carl's umbrella was on the floor. He told her not to blame him, but she sent him to the principal out of spite. Next, he took a geography test. Despite studying, Carl didn't know the answers. He started drawing lightly on his paper. Carl drew a huge dinosaur. What if it were real? He saw it in his mind. Carl's class said he was a genius for having a dinosaur. It could interfere with math class too. Soon, Carl's fame spread through school. He taught his dinosaur to be very gentle and put it on exhibit. But admission would only be given to those classmates who paid him a fee. His idea was super. "It's time to turn in your tests," the teacher said. Carl looked at his paper. As he was dreaming in class, he hadn't finished the test.
Abuse. To abuse someone or something means to hurt them on purpose.
The mean man abused his dog when it barked too loudly.
Afford. To afford something means you have enough money to pay for it.
I've been saving my money, so I can afford to buy a new bike.
Bake. To bake means to cook food with heat.
My sister is a good cook. She bakes delicious cakes.
Bean. A bean is a plant seed that is good to eat.
There are many different kinds of beans to eat.
Candle. A candle is a stick of wax that is lit on fire for light or heat.
When the lights went out, we lit some candles.
Convert. To convert something means to change it into something else.
The man converted his messy field into a garden of flowers.
Debt. A debt is an amount of money that a person owes.
I have not paid my gas bill. I owe a debt to the gas company.
Decrease. To decrease something is to make it less than it was before.
Hiring more police officers has decreased crime in the city.
Fault. A fault is a mistake.
It is my fault that the cat ran away. I left the door open.
Fund. A fund is an amount of money that people have.
We all put money into our club's fund.
Generous. When someone is generous, they like to give things to people.
The generous man donated several new computers to our school.
Ingredient. An ingredient is something that is part of a food dish.
The main ingredients in cake are eggs, sugar, and flour.
Insist. To insist means to be firm in telling people what to do.
I insist that you try some of these cookies.
Mess. A mess is a condition that is not clean or neat.
Heather's room was a complete mess.
Metal. Metal is a strong material people use to build things.
Steel is a common metal that is used to build buildings.
Monitor. To monitor people or things is to watch them closely.
The teacher monitors the students when they take tests.
Oppose. To oppose something means to dislike it or act against it.
I want to be a police officer because I oppose crime.
Passive. If a person is passive, they do not take action to solve problems.
Marcy is so passive that she never solves her own problems.
Quantity. A quantity is a certain amount of something.
I have a small quantity of milk in my glass.
Sue. To sue someone is to take them to court for something wrong they did.
I sued the company after I slipped on a banana peel in their hallway.
The mean chef. Once, there was a chef who was mean to his cooks. He was mean to the people who came in to eat. He charged too much for meals. Many people were not able to afford the cheapest bean dish. When his metal oven broke, he did not have it fixed, so everything baked in it burned. The only light was from candles, and the whole place was a mess. Sometimes he didn't pay his waiters. Since they had no funds, they had many debts. The chef behaved this way all the time. He monitored the cooks and yelled if they did not do things his way. One day, the cooks decided that they were tired of the abuse, and that they would not be passive anymore. Everyone opposed the chef. At first, they thought about suing him. Instead, they tied up the chef with rope. Now they controlled the restaurant. They decreased the price of food. They used the best ingredients and made large quantities of food. They turned on the lights. The restaurant was converted into a happy place. For the first time, many people came to eat. The chef realized that the restaurant's problems were his fault. The chef learned an important lesson. The new, generous chef insisted on giving the customers a free meal. Anxiety. When someone has anxiety, they have a lot of worries and fear.
When I have to climb to high places, I'm filled with anxiety.
Army. An army is a large group of people who fight in wars.
The army protects all the people in the country.
Billion. A billion is a very large number.
There are billions of stars in outer space.
Carve. To carve means to cut into something.
My father usually carves the turkey for Thanksgiving.
Consult. To consult someone means to ask them for help.
I will consult my accountant to find a way to pay for my bills.
Emergency. An emergency is a time when someone needs help right away.
There is a huge fire in my house. This is an emergency.
Fortune. When someone has good fortune, it means they have luck.
I have good fortune when I play cards.
Guarantee. To guarantee means to know something will happen.
I guarantee that the sun will come up in the morning.
Hike. To hike means to walk in the mountains or forest.
I always bring plenty of equipment with me when I hike.
Initial. When something is initial, it is the first thing.
The initial step when writing a paper is to find a good topic.
Intense. If something is intense, it is very strong.
The skunk made an intense odor that filled the air.
Lend. To lend something is to give it to someone for a short time.
My sister lost her pen, so I will lend her mine.
Peak. The peak is the very top of a mountain.
There is snow on the peaks of those mountains.
Potential. Potential means capable of being but not yet in existence.
I've thought of some potential problems with your idea.
Pride. When you have pride, you are happy with yourself.
I take pride in getting good grades.
Proof. Proof is a fact that shows something is real.
They used his fingerprint as proof for the crime he committed.
Quit. To quit something means to stop doing it.
I quit running because I got tired.
Spin. To spin is to turn around in circles.
The boy kept spinning until he fell down.
Tiny. When people or things are tiny, they are very small.
A baby's hand is tiny.
Tutor. A tutor is someone who gives lessons in a certain subject.
My sister is bad at math, so my mother hired a tutor to help her. The Cat and the Fox. One day, a cat hiked on a mountain. When he reached the peak, he met a fox. They began talking about how they get away from their enemies. I am very smart. I have billions of ideas. I can carve a tiny hole in a tree and then climb in, the fox said. He added, I have a lot of friends. If I am in trouble, I can call them to lend their help. I can escape an entire army if I have to. Then the fox asked, What are your potential plans? The cat said, I have only one plan. The fox said, I hope you have good fortune then. Do you want me to be your tutor? I can teach you many things. The cat said, I guarantee that my plan works every time. We can quit talking about it. Soon, they saw a group of wolves. It was an emergency. The cat quickly used her plan. She ran up a tree. The fox could not decide which plan to use. What should my initial move be? Should I consult my friends? The fox felt intense anxiety. All he could do was spin in a circle. The wolves caught the fox. The cat was full of pride. This is proof that having a good plan is better than having many bad plans.
Apparent. If something is apparent, it is easy to see.
Her happiness was apparent from the smile on her face.
Blind. When people are blind, they cannot see.
The blind man didn't see the hole and almost fell in.
Calculate. To calculate is to find an answer using math.
I calculated how much money I would need to buy the car.
Chat. To chat is to talk with someone.
Even though they were far apart, the couple chatted every day.
Commit. To commit to something is to promise to do it.
Seth wanted to go home, but he had committed to finishing the job.
Compose. To compose something is to make it from smaller parts.
Tanya composed her report using many sources of information.
Dormitory. A dormitory is a school building where students live.
I will move into the dormitory at the beginning of the school year.
Exhaust. To exhaust someone is to make them tired.
John exhausted himself by swimming all day.
Greenhouse. A greenhouse is a small glass building that is used to grow plants.
We have a small greenhouse in our backyard where we grow plants.
Ignore. To ignore something is to act like you do not see or hear it.
I ignored the message he was making and kept studying.
Obvious. If something is obvious, it is clear and easily seen.
It was obvious that he was tired. He kept falling asleep.
Physics. Physics is a science that deals with energy and how it affects things.
In physics class, we used Newton's cradle to learn about energy.
Portion. A portion of something is a part of it.
I only ate a small portion of the pizza.
Remind. To remind someone is to tell them to remember to do something.
Nick's dad reminded him to do his homework.
Secretary. A secretary is a person who works in an office.
Rebecca asked her secretary to type a report.
Severe. If something is severe, it is very bad or serious.
After hitting his hand with the hammer, Sam was in severe pain.
Talent. If someone has a talent, they are naturally able to do it well.
Maria has a talent for playing the piano.
Thesis. A thesis is an idea that needs to be proved.
She did not support her thesis very well.
Uniform. A uniform is a piece of clothing worn by people of the same group.
All the members of our marching band wear matching uniforms.
Vision. Vision is the act of seeing.
The eye doctor tested my vision.
The good student. Sue left her dormitory early that morning. She had even washed her uniform the night before. She wanted to look nice for the day. Sue was committed to learning, and she had a talent for getting good grades. In fact, Sue didn't sleep much. She composed a paper and found the perfect thesis about the importance of greenhouses. She also studied for her physics test. Sue was already tired. During the test, she calculated her answers. Soon, she felt sick. Her face got hot, and her vision began to blur. She was blind for a moment. The teacher saw Sue's apparent sickness. He wanted to send her to the nurse, but she wouldn't go. Sue still had a portion of the test to finish. After that, Sue went to the nurse. After seeing the secretary, she waited. A few minutes later, the nurse came in with a glass of juice and told Sue they needed to chat. "It is obvious you have exhausted yourself," the nurse said. "If you keep working so hard, it could have severe results. My parents tell me that all the time. I guess I shouldn't ignore them," Sue said. "You have to remind yourself it is okay to rest," the nurse said. When Sue got back to her room, she went right to bed. She made sure she got enough rest every night after that. Absorb. To absorb a liquid means to take it inside.
He used a sponge to absorb the water on the floor.
Boss. A boss is a person in charge of other people at work.
My boss is a nice person.
Committee. A committee is a group of people who meet together to make decisions.
The school's committee agreed on a new dress code for students.
Contract. A contract is a written agreement between two people.
The woman signed a contract when she bought the house.
Crew. A crew is a group of workers.
My father has a crew. They help him build houses.
Devote. To devote time to something means to spend a lot of time doing it.
She devotes 2 hours a day to playing the piano.
Dig. To dig is to make a hole in the ground.
My dog digs in the yard so he can hide his bones.
Dine. To dine means to eat dinner.
The young couple dined at their home.
Donate. To donate is to give something to a charity or organization.
We donate money to Christmas charities every year.
Double. If something is double, it is twice as much, or twice as many.
I paid almost double the amount for that shirt.
Elevate. To elevate something is to put it at a higher level.
The man elevated the picture so he could see it better.
Flavor. A flavor is the taste of food or drinks.
The flavor of the ice cream was very good.
Foundation. A foundation is a group that provides money for research.
The foundation raised money to give scholarships to students.
Generation. A generation is a group of people who live at the same time.
My grandparents are from a different generation than me.
Handle. A handle is the part of an object people hold while using it.
The pot is very hot, so pick it up by the handle.
Layer. A layer covers over something or is between two things.
There was a layer of snow on the tops of the houses this morning.
Mud. Mud is soft, wet dirt.
My brother played rugby in the mud. Now he's dirty.
Smooth. If something is smooth, it has no bumps.
The baby's skin felt very smooth.
Soil. Soil is the top layer of land on the earth.
The boy planted flowers in the soil and watered them every day.
Unique. If people or things are unique, they are not like the others.
Her dog is unique. I've never seen one quite like it. The lucky knife. I've devoted my life to studying past generations. Last year, I had a unique chance to work with my uncle. Our job was to find old treasures for a school's history foundation. He also hired a crew of students. They signed a contract to work with him. He was the boss. The place was strange, though. I dined on many things that I had never tasted before. They had an unusual flavor. We had been there about a month and hadn't found anything. One day, I began to dig in the soil. The ground's layers got wetter. Soon, I was digging in the mud. My shovel began to get very heavy. It felt like it had doubled in weight because the ground had absorbed a lot of water. Finally, I saw something in the mud. It was an old knife. The handle felt smooth in my hand. I elevated it so I could see it better. There was writing on it. It says it will bring good luck, my uncle said with a smile. Why don't you keep it? I put it in my tent. The next day, we found many more things. There were pots, jewelry, and weapons. My uncle donated all of the things to a special committee. Many newspapers wrote stories about it. It seemed the knife really did bring good luck.
Chamber. A chamber is an old word for a bedroom.
The girl was tired. She went to her chamber for a nap.
Deny. To deny something is to say it is not true.
The boy denied that he broke the window.
Document. A document is an official piece of writing.
He was given an official document proving he was a citizen.
Emphasize. To emphasize is to give importance or attention to something.
She emphasized the key points by circling them in red ink.
Fever. A fever is a high body temperature that people get when they are sick.
Lydia had a high fever, so she didn't go to school.
Flu. The flu is a type of sickness that makes you feel weak or your body hurt.
Since he had the flu, he felt miserable.
Freeze. To freeze is to become very cold.
If you don't wear your coat in winter, you will freeze.
Gesture. A gesture is a movement of the hands or body.
My teacher makes a lot of gestures when she speaks.
Interrupt. To interrupt is to briefly stop someone when they are doing something.
My mother interrupted me when I was trying to listen to music.
Last. To last is to continue or go on for an amount of time.
The football match lasted for nearly 2 hours.
Likeness. Likeness means the state of being like or resemblance.
Michelle bears a strong likeness to her older sister Kate.
Moreover. Moreover means besides or in addition to something.
It's cold outside. Moreover, the wind is very strong.
Perspective. A perspective is the way you think about something.
The man's speech gave me a new perspective on our country.
Rational. When something is rational, it is normal or practical.
It is hard to think in a rational way when you are scared.
Recover. To recover is to go back to normal after something bad happens.
I hope the city will recover soon after the flood.
Rely. To rely on something or someone is to trust or depend on them.
The boy relied on his older brother to help him.
Shock. To shock people is to surprise them.
The man was shocked by the news.
Shy. When people are shy, they are nervous around people strange to them.
The girl was too shy to try out for the play.
Stare. To stare at something is to look at it for a long time.
The young couple stared into each other's eyes.
Thus. Thus means as a result or for that reason.
The sun was shining. Thus I wore my sunglasses.
Prince Sam. Sam's mother cooked at the royal palace. One day, he went to work with her. She emphasized that he should stay in the kitchen. But Sam was bored. Thus, he decided to look around. He went around a corner. It shocked him to see a boy who had a strong likeness to him. Sam soon recovered. The other boy stared at him. Then he spoke. Come with me. He needed to be rational, but he couldn't deny that he wanted to go. So he followed the boy to a chamber. I am Prince Bertram, the boy said. Sam felt shy talking to a prince. I'm Sam. Trade places with me, the prince said. We can't. My mother will kill me. Moreover, I don't know anything about being a prince. No one will find out, the prince interrupted. We look the same, and even our gestures are the same. It will only last for a week. Sam said okay. Soon, Sam's perspective on being a prince changed. He spent most of his day signing royal documents. At night, the prince's chamber was cold. He thought he was going to freeze or get sick with a fever or the flu. He was happy when the week ended. So was the prince. I didn't know how to do anything, the prince said. I've always relied on my servants to do everything for me. I think I like being a regular person, Sam said. Being a prince isn't fun. So, they both returned to their normal positions and enjoyed their lives more than before. Aim. An aim is a goal someone wants to make happen.
My aim is to become a helicopter pilot.
Attach. To attach is to put two things together.
I attached the socks to the clothesline to dry.
Bet. To bet is to risk money on the result of a game or a business.
How much will you bet that your horse will win?
Carriage. A carriage is a vehicle pulled by a horse.
We took a carriage ride in the park.
Classic. If something is classic, it is typical.
The athlete made a classic mistake. He started running too soon.
Commute. To commute is to travel a long distance to get to work.
I usually commute to work on the train.
Confirm. To confirm is to make sure something is correct.
Winning the game confirmed that James was a good player.
Criticize. To criticize is to say you do not like someone or something.
He criticized his wife for spending too much money.
Differ. To differ is to not be the same as another person or thing.
I differ from my brother. He is short, while I am tall.
Expense. An expense is the money that people spend on something.
She wrote down all the expenses for her trip.
Formal. If something is formal, it is done in an official way.
It was a formal dinner, so we wore our best clothes.
Height. Height is how tall someone or something is.
My height is 168 centimeters.
Invent. To invent something is to create something that never existed before.
My grandfather has invented some interesting things.
Junior. If someone is junior in their job, they do not have a lot of power.
When she started at the company, she was only a junior manager.
Labor. Labor is the act of doing or making something.
Building the house took a lot of labor.
Mechanic. A mechanic is someone who fixes vehicles or machines.
We took the car to the mechanic to be fixed.
Prime. If something is prime, it is the most important one.
Dirty air is a prime cause of illness.
Shift. To shift to something is to move into a new place or direction.
He shifted to the other side of the table to eat his breakfast.
Signal. A signal is a sound or action that tells someone to do something.
The coach blew his whistle as a signal to begin the game.
Sincere. When people are sincere, they tell the truth.
He sounded sincere when he apologized to me. Henry Ford's famous car. My name is Henry Ford, and I invented a car called the Model T. I used to watch carriages on the streets. They fascinated me. Then I got a job as a junior mechanic. My father criticized me. He wanted me to run the farm, but I did not shift my plans. Then I worked for the Detroit Auto Company, but I wanted to make cars using less labor. That way there would be fewer expenses. I started the Ford Motor Company in 1903. At first, the company did not do well, but many people were betting on my success. I also had a sincere aim to make a car that anybody could buy. Then, in 1908, I introduced the Model T in a formal ceremony. It confirmed that I was right. It was possible to build a car my way. The Model T differed from other vehicles. Workers could attach different parts for cars or trucks. This saved time. One Model T could be put together in 93 minutes. All of them had the same classic design. They were all the same size and height. The prime reason for doing this was to save money. Over 19 years, I sold over 15 million Model Ts. This sent a signal to other companies. People would buy cars to commute to work if the price was low enough.
Ability. Ability is the quality of a person being able to do something well.
His swimming abilities let him cross the entire lake.
Agriculture. Agriculture is the growing of food and animals.
The farmers studied agriculture in college.
Cartoon. A cartoon is a funny drawing.
Sometimes people draw cartoons for the newspaper.
Ceiling. The ceiling is the top of a room.
He painted the ceiling with a special roller.
Convince. To convince someone means to make them sure of something.
She convinced me to buy the house.
Curious. When you are curious about something, you want to know more about it.
I opened up the clock because I was curious about how it worked.
Delay. To delay means to wait to do something.
I was delayed at the airport for over 2 hours.
Diary. A diary is a book in which people write their personal experiences.
I do not let anybody read my diary.
Element. An element of something is a particular part of it.
Tackling an opponent is Johnny's favorite element of American football.
Faith. When people have faith in something, they believe in it and trust it.
The sick girl had faith in doctors. She knew they would make her better.
Grain. Grain is food crops such as wheat, corn, rice, or oats.
The farmer planted 2 fields of grain this year.
Greet. To greet someone means to meet and welcome them.
When my friend came over, I greeted him at the door.
Investigate. To investigate means to search for something or learn about it.
The detective went to investigate the crime.
Joy. Joy is a feeling you get when you are really happy.
I love baseball. I feel joy when I play.
Label. A label is a tag that tells about something.
The label on the back of your shirt will tell you what size it is.
Monk. A monk is a religious person who lives a simple life.
The monks knew a lot about religion.
Odd. When something is odd, it is unusual.
Her cat is odd. It walks on 2 feet.
Pause. To pause means to stop doing something for a while.
Since she was so hungry, she paused to make a snack.
Priest. A priest is a person trained to perform religious duties.
The priest taught us about God.
Profession. A profession is a person's job.
He loved sailing, so he chose to work on ships as a profession.
The priest. A young priest was always sad. He was good at his profession, but he still had no joy. He visited a group of wise monks. When he got to the monk's house, they greeted him and let him in. The monks asked the priest, "What is the matter?" The priest said, "I should be happy, but I am not. I don't know what to do." The wise monks paused for a minute. Then one said, "We are convinced of your faith. You are a very good priest. But to find joy, you have to do more. Above all, investigate the elements of your life that you love." The priest thought that this answer was odd, but he was curious. The next day, the priest thought about his abilities. He got a few ideas, and he did not want to delay any longer. He liked to draw, so he made some cartoons. He also liked to write, so he started a diary. He was interested in agriculture, so he planted some grains. He made jam from berries. He made his own labels to put on the jars of jam. He painted his ceiling. The priest learned something. It is not too hard to be happy after all. All one has to do is find things they like doing and do them. Adopt. To adopt someone is to make them as part of one's own family.
The girl was adopted by the couple when she was 3.
Beg. To beg is to ask for something one really wants.
The man begged for some money.
Beyond. If A is beyond B, A is farther away.
John's house is beyond that lake.
Costume. A costume is a set of clothes people wear for a particular occasion.
The woman wore a mask with her costume.
Exclaim. To exclaim is to say something loudly, usually due to being excited.
Look at her dress, Sarah exclaimed.
Extend. To extend is to stretch out or reach.
The boy extended his hand to catch the ball.
Fool. A fool is someone who makes unwise choices.
The girl was a fool for playing too close to the water.
Forbid. To forbid is to tell someone they cannot do something.
My father forbids watching TV while we're eating dinner.
Illustrate. To illustrate is to show something by drawing a picture.
The executive illustrated the decreasing profits of the company.
Indeed. Indeed means truly or really.
The birthday party was indeed fun last night.
Interpret. To interpret is to explain what something means.
The woman interpreted what her coworker was trying to say.
Kindly. If people do something kindly, they do it in a nice way.
The stranger kindly cared for the hurt man.
Motive. A motive is the reason someone does something.
His motive for studying so hard is to get into a good college.
Nest. A nest is a place where a bird lays its eggs.
The bird laid her eggs in the nest that she made.
Origin. The origin of someone or something is where they come from.
The origin of the honey that we eat is from a beehive.
Reception. A reception is a party to welcome a person or celebrate an event.
We all danced and had a good time at the wedding reception.
Reject. To reject is to refuse something because you do not want it.
The girl rejected the broken cup.
Silence. Silence is complete quiet.
The man asked for silence while he worked on the problem.
Stream. A stream is a small river.
The boy caught a fish in the stream.
Tone. Tone is the sound of someone's voice. It shows how they feel.
My father's tone told me I had broken the rule. Mrs. May and the Green Girl. One morning, people from a small town found a little girl by a stream. She seemed to be wearing a green costume. As the people got closer, they saw that the girl's skin was green. "Oh my!" the people exclaimed. "What if her motive for coming to our town is bad? What if she has a strange origin?" An old woman kindly went to her. "Look how scared she is. Please," she begged, "do not reject her. I will adopt her." There was silence until the judge spoke. "I don't know," he said in a worried tone, "but we cannot forbid you. I indeed hope you're not being a fool." Mrs. May extended her hand to the girl. "Come with me. I won't hurt you." The girl spoke a language Mrs. May didn't know, but she was able to interpret what the girl was trying to say. Sometimes the girl drew pictures to illustrate what she meant. The green girl was from a place far beyond the sun. There, people lived in nests built in trees. They only ate green leaves, which made their skin green. "Well, you can't just eat leaves," Mrs. May said. She fed the green girl home-cooked meals, and soon the girl wasn't green anymore. The people had a huge reception to welcome her as a citizen of the town.
Accomplish. To accomplish something means to finish it.
He accomplished his goal of running 10 miles.
Approve. To approve of something means you like it or are happy about it.
Her co-workers approved her new plan.
Approximate. Approximate means to be close to an exact amount, number, or time.
My approximate height is 2 meters.
Barrier. A barrier is something that is in your way.
The Great Wall was a barrier between China and its enemies.
Detect. To detect something means to notice or find something.
The boy ran to the kitchen when he detected the smell of cookies.
Duty. A duty is something that a person has to do.
It is parents' duty to take care of their children.
Elementary. When something is elementary, it is the first or most simple thing.
Children go to elementary school before high school.
Failure. A failure happens when you do not do something right.
My cooking ended in failure because I burned the food.
Gradual. When something is gradual, it happens slowly.
Children learn to read at a gradual pace. They do not learn right away.
Immigrant. An immigrant is a person who moves to a different country.
My parents were immigrants. They came from Poland.
Insert. To insert something means to put it in something else.
The mailman inserted the letter into the mailbox.
Instant. An instant is a very short amount of time.
A microwave oven cooks food in an instant.
Poverty. Poverty is the state of being poor.
Poverty is a problem in many countries around the world.
Pretend. To pretend means to make believe something is real.
The boy liked to pretend he was a king.
Rank. A person's rank is their place in an order of people.
The man got to the rank of captain in the Navy.
Recognition. Recognition is getting praise from other people.
The hero got recognition for his brave deed.
Refrigerate. To refrigerate something means to make it cold.
Grocery stores refrigerate fruit to make it last long.
Rent. Rent is the money people pay to someone to live in a certain place.
To live in this house, I have to pay rent at the start of each month.
Retire. To retire is to leave a job, usually because of old age.
My father is 65 years old. He is about to retire from work.
Statistic. A statistic is a number that tells a fact about something.
The statistic showed that we did just as well this year as last year.
Albert Einstein. My name is Albert Einstein. Many people know about the great things I've accomplished. But I had many barriers before I became famous. I was born in Germany. When I was in elementary school, I already knew about math and statistics. When I was a boy, I pretended to be a great scientist. I loved school, but my life at home was hard. My father lost his job, so my family lived in poverty. We could not pay the rent in Germany. We became immigrants and went to Italy. I finished high school and went to college in Switzerland. After college, I began writing about science. I did not reach success in an instant, though. At first, other scientists did not approve of my work. They thought I was a failure. Rising to the rank of an admired scientist was a gradual process. Soon, people started to notice that I was right. At last, I began to get some recognition. I showed how to find the approximate size of very big things, like stars. I also detected and explained the movement of very small things, like atoms. And for fun, I made a machine that could refrigerate food by inserting heat. I never retired. It was my duty to keep working. I overcame many hard times, and I will be remembered for my important works. Astronaut. An astronaut is a person that goes into outer space.
The astronaut was walking on the moon.
Awake. When you are awake, you are not asleep.
Sometimes I lay awake in bed because I am not tired.
Courage. When you have courage, you are not afraid.
The man had the courage to touch the lion.
Float. To float is to move on top of water without sinking.
The boy's toy boat floated in the pool.
Grant. To grant something is to allow someone to have it.
The teacher granted us a break after studying hard all day.
Gravity. Gravity is the force that makes things fall to earth.
There is no gravity in space.
Jewel. A jewel is a beautiful stone that is worth a lot of money.
A diamond is one of the most expensive jewels in the world.
Miner. A miner is a person who works in a mine.
The miner was looking for gold.
Mineral. A mineral is a type of substance found in the earth.
Rocks are made up of different kinds of minerals.
Participate. To participate is to take part in something.
The students participated in the school play.
Permission. Permission means the act of allowing the doing of something.
I have permission to drive my mom's car.
Pour. To pour a liquid means to make it come out of a container.
I poured some milk into my sister's cup.
Presence. Someone or something's presence is the fact they are there.
The presence of dark clouds meant it would rain.
Raw. If a material is raw, it is natural and has not been processed.
The company dumped raw sewage into the river.
Satellite. A satellite is something that is sent into space to get information.
The satellite was traveling around the Earth.
Scale. The scale of something is its size, especially when it is very large.
I was surprised by the scale of the buildings in the downtown area.
Skip. To skip something is to not do it.
He skipped work to get more sleep.
Stretch. To stretch is to make your arms or legs reach out.
She stretched her body before exercising.
Telescope. A telescope is a tool people use to look at the stars.
With a telescope, you can see the moon and stars easily.
Underground. When something is underground, it is below the surface of the earth.
Subway trains travel underground. From the earth to the stars. Jeremy was from a family of miners. Like them, he worked underground during the day. His job was to gather raw minerals and jewels. Each night after work, he lay awake in an open field. With his telescope, he looked at the stars. He was amazed by the scale of space. He wished someday he might travel there. One day there was an accident in the mine. Water poured into the mine. Everything was dark. Jeremy stretched out and grabbed a piece of wood. It kept him from sinking. Jeremy felt a presence nearby. "I am an angel," said a voice. "What?" Jeremy exclaimed. "You must never come underground again. Have the courage to make your wishes come true." For a long time he floated in silence. Then he heard other voices. The other miners were coming to rescue him. The next day Jeremy skipped work. He decided to become an astronaut. For the next 2 years, he studied hard. One day, he was given permission to participate in a mission to space. His wish had been granted. His spaceship left the ground. It went higher until there was no more gravity. He saw satellites floating next to the ship. Then Jeremy saw a beautiful angel outside his spaceship. It smiled at Jeremy. For some minutes, Jeremy could not speak. Finally, he said, "Thank you."
Alarm. An alarm is something that warns people of danger.
When the students heard the fire alarm, they left the building.
Apart. When people or things are apart, they are not close together.
The couple decided to live apart from each other.
Arrest. To arrest someone means to catch them for doing something bad.
The man was arrested for breaking the law.
Award. An award is a prize someone gets for doing something well.
He got an award for having the best grades in class.
Breed. A breed is a group of animals within a species.
I like small dog breeds, such as terriers.
Bucket. A bucket is a round container to put things in.
I filled the bucket with water.
Contest. A contest is a game or a race.
The girls had a contest to see who could jump higher.
Convict. To convict someone means to prove that they did a bad thing.
He was convicted of the crime and sent to jail.
Garage. A garage is the part of a house where people put their cars.
My car does not get dirty because I keep it in the garage.
Journalist. A journalist is a person who writes news stories.
The journalist took notes for a story he was writing.
Pup. A pup is a young dog.
All the girl wanted for her birthday was a pup.
Qualify. To qualify is to get, or to be declared, adequate or good enough.
He qualified to go to the final match by beating the opponent.
Repair. To repair something is to fix it.
I repaired the flat tire on my car.
Resume. To resume something means to start it again after taking a break.
I put the newspaper down to eat breakfast. Then I resumed reading.
Rob. To rob a person or place is to take their property by using force.
A thief has robbed me of my passport.
Slip. To slip means to slide and fall down.
The man slipped on the wet floor.
Somewhat. Somewhat means to some degree, but not to a large degree.
James was somewhat upset when he had to move some boxes.
Stable. When something is stable, it will not fall over.
The chair is stable. Its legs are strong.
Tissue. A tissue is a soft piece of paper people use to wipe their noses.
There was a box of tissue on the table.
Yard. A yard is the ground just outside of a person's house.
The girls jumped rope in the yard.
The Farm Festival. Once there was a farm. Many animals lived there. One day, they had a contest in the yard. They were going to race from the barn to the farmer's garage. The barn and the garage were far apart. It would be a long race. The winner qualified to win a bag full of apples as an award. But the race did not start well. The cart with all the apples was not stable, and the animals had to repair it. Then the pup knocked over the apples. The pig yelled, "We are going to slip. We must clean up this mess." The pup felt bad, and she began to cry. The dog gave her a tissue to wipe her tears. Then the race resumed. But the duck tried to rob them and take all the apples. The cat said, "I will have you arrested." The duck said, "You can't convict me. You can't prove I took it." The race stopped yet again. The animals tried to race one more time. Then they heard an alarm coming from the barn. There was a fire. They got buckets of water to put out the fire. A journalist came to write a story about the festival and the race. The horse told her, "I am a special breed of horse. I would have won the race easily." The pig said, "It was somewhat hard to have the race, but we had fun. That is what's important." Alike. If two things or people are alike, they are similar in some way.
People often think my sister and I look alike.
Annoy. To annoy someone means to bother them.
The flies buzzing around John's head annoyed him very much.
Architecture. Architecture is the style or way a building is made.
The architecture of the church is amazing.
Artificial. If something is artificial, it is made to look like something natural.
That soccer field has artificial grass, but it looks real.
Chain. A chain is a series of connected loops, often used to keep things in place.
The scary dog was secured with a chain.
Distinct. If something is distinct, it is easily noticed or different from other things.
That girl has distinct pink hair.
Distinguish. To distinguish is to recognize differences between things.
The twins look exactly the same. it is hard to distinguish between them.
Dust. Dust is very tiny pieces of dirt or other matter.
In the old house, the dust was thick on the floor and chairs.
Excitement. Excitement means to feel a lot of happiness about something.
Did you see the excitement in her when the team scored?
Heal. To heal means to make a part of the body healthy again after injury.
After my broken arm heals, I can play baseball again.
Inherit. To inherit is to get something from someone who has died.
She inherited her mother's gold earrings.
Manner. A manner is the way someone does something.
His manner of not looking at someone while speaking is a bit rude.
Mount. Something mounts when it becomes stronger over time.
His fear mounted as the monster crawled out from under his bed.
Roof. A roof is the outside top part of a building.
The roof was covered with snow.
Shortage. A shortage is a lack of something you need or want.
Since there was a shortage of food, people were hungry.
Solid. If something is solid, it is made of firm material.
The safe looked to be quite solid.
Stock. A stock is a stored amount of something.
They keep a stock of rice so they'll always have something to eat.
Substance. A substance is any specific material or mixture of materials.
Water is an important substance for all living things.
Tomb. A tomb is a grave where a dead person is buried.
Their whole family is buried inside the tomb.
Wound. A wound is an injury to the body.
He had many wounds after the car accident. The clever thief. A new king inherited a lot of gold. He loved his gold very much. He even wanted to keep it after he died. Therefore, he had a large tomb built for himself and his riches. However, the tomb's builder had a plan. Most of the stones were solid, but he put one special stone on the roof. It was made of a lighter substance. When the tomb was done, the king moved in his stock of gold. One night, the builder went to the tomb. His excitement mounted. Because all the stones looked alike, he had left a distinct mark on the artificial block. The mark helped him distinguish the difference in the architecture. The builder lifted the stone. Using a chain, he climbed into the tomb. He filled his pockets with gold. The builder followed this manner night after night. Soon, the king noticed a shortage in his gold. This annoyed the king. At last he hired a guard to hide inside the tomb. When the builder entered the tomb, the guard wounded him. He climbed a pole to the roof. The builder left drops of blood in the dust. The guard followed them and caught him. When the builder healed, he explained to the king that he didn't keep any of the gold. He had given it all away to the poor.
Bath. A bath is water in a tub. People take a bath to get clean.
After playing in the dirt, the boy took a bath.
Bend. To bend is to move something so it is not straight.
Lee bent over and picked up the paper on the ground.
Chew. To chew is to move your mouth to break up food.
I always chew my food carefully before swallowing it.
Disabled. When a person is disabled, they cannot do what a normal person can do.
The disabled man used a wheelchair to move around.
Fantastic. If something is fantastic, it is really good.
The student did a fantastic job on his project and got an award.
Fiction. Fiction is a story that is not true.
I enjoy reading works of fiction because they are very entertaining.
Flag. A flag is a piece of colored cloth that represents something.
Our country has a beautiful flag.
Inspect. To inspect is to look at something carefully.
The mechanic inspected our car to see if it had any problems.
Journal. A journal is a type of magazine that deals with an academic subject.
Mi-young was busy working on an article for an art journal.
Liquid. A liquid is a substance that is neither solid nor gas.
Water is the most important liquid for life.
Marvel. To marvel at something is to feel surprise and interest in it.
We marveled at her excellent piano playing.
Nutrient. A nutrient is something that a living thing needs to keep it alive.
Vegetables are full of important nutrients.
Overcome. To overcome a problem is to successfully fix it.
She overcame her shyness and spoke in front of the class.
Recall. To recall something is to remember it.
She was trying to recall what she had told her friend.
Regret. To regret something is to wish that it didn't happen.
I regret that I was mean to my sister.
Soul. A soul is a person's spirit.
Some people believe that the soul lives after the body dies.
Sufficient. When something is sufficient, you have enough of it.
After eating a sufficient amount of food, I left the table.
Surgery. Surgery is medical treatment when the doctor cuts open your body.
I needed surgery to repair my leg after the accident.
Tough. If something is tough, it is difficult.
The man passed his driving test even though it was very tough.
Tube. A tube is a pipe through which water or air passes.
The pile of tubes was going to be put in the ground.
The doctor's cure. James Fry was a fantastic doctor. His surgeries helped many disabled people overcome their injuries. He also wrote for a popular medical journal. James was very busy. His son Steve rarely saw him. One day, James was walking and inspecting a patient's file. There was water all over the floor. James slipped on the liquid and fell. He fell on a broken glass tube. He was hurt. Steve came to visit him in the hospital. James said, "It will be tough for me to stay in bed, but I can hardly bend my legs." "Then let's watch a movie," Steve said. It made them laugh together. Steve said, "I have to leave, but here's some fiction to read." James started to recall fun parts of life. He marveled at small things, like food. He was too busy to notice them before. "Steve," he said, "you get more nutrients when you chew slowly. But I think it makes food taste better, too." Weeks later, James said, "Steve, I haven't spent enough time with you. I regret this. Even my soul feels better when you visit. But I have spent sufficient time here. We should go home." Outside there was a warm breeze. James watched a flag blow. Finally, James said, "I'm not ready to work. I'm going to take a long bath, and then we'll watch a movie together." Admit. To admit something means to say that it is true.
I had to admit that I stole his idea.
Bin. A bin is a container that holds things.
He put his trash in the bin.
Bowl. A bowl is a deep round dish that holds food or liquid.
I ate a bowl of cereal for breakfast.
Cabin. A cabin is a small house made of wood.
My grandfather owns a small cabin in the country.
Cash. Cash is money in the form of paper or coins.
I was able to save up enough cash to buy my mother a gift.
Criminal. A criminal is a person who does something against the law.
The police made sure the criminal couldn't move his hands.
Dozen. A dozen is a group of 12 things.
Mom brought home a dozen donuts for us as a treat.
Elder. An elder is a person who is older than the people around them.
Uncle Ray is my elder, so I always try to be respectful.
Facial. If something is facial, it is related to a person's face.
I could tell from his facial features that he was angry.
Fence. A fence is a structure around a house or field.
The farmer put up a fence so that no one could walk on her field.
Inspire. To inspire means to make a person want to do something.
I was inspired to write a poem after watching the sunrise.
Mere. When something is mere, it is small or not important.
We lost the game by a mere 2 points.
Neat. If something is neat, it is very clean or organized well.
My sister always keeps her bedroom very neat.
Occasion. An occasion is a time when something important happens.
Her graduation was an occasion to have a good time.
Penalty. A penalty is a punishment given when someone breaks a rule or law.
I had to pay a $100 penalty for parking in the wrong spot.
Rude. When someone is rude, they are mean and not polite.
The children at the bus stop were very rude.
Settle. To settle a problem means to end it by finding a solution.
It took 3 of our best executives all day to settle the problem.
Vehicle. A vehicle is a thing that moves people or things to another place.
A ferry is a vehicle that takes people from one island to another.
Wallet. A wallet is a thing that holds money and fits in a pocket.
I keep my money in a wallet.
Yell. To yell is to say something very loudly.
The coach yelled at his team for their poor performance. The criminal. A man had been in jail because he stole things. The criminal never felt bad. One day, he escaped and ran into the woods. He found a cabin with a fence. The cabin was very neat. Inside, the criminal found a bowl of fruit, a bottle of milk, and a dozen eggs. He ate the fruit and drank the milk. But the eggs smelled funny, so he put them in the trash bin. Soon he heard the sound of a vehicle's motor. An old man came in and saw the criminal. The old man yelled, "Why are you in my house?" The criminal lied, "I'm a policeman." The old man replied, "I am your elder. You cannot fool me. You are the criminal." The criminal's facial expression became very sad. He admitted that he was a criminal. He said, "I'm sorry. It was rude for me to come into your home. Please take the cash from my wallet. It is a mere amount, but it will settle our problem." The old man said, "I do not want your money. I just want to inspire you to be good. There will be no penalty for taking my food." On this occasion, the criminal realized that he had been bad. He listened to the old man and never stole from anyone ever again.
Accuse. To accuse someone of something is to blame them for doing it.
She accused her brother of breaking her computer.
Adjust. To adjust something means to change it so it is better.
He adjusted the old guitar to make it sound better.
Amuse. To amuse someone means to do something that is funny or entertaining.
The singer was very good. She amused the crowd.
Coral. Coral is the hard, colorful material formed by the shells of animals.
The diver admired the beautiful coral under the water.
Cotton. Cotton is a cloth made from the fibers of the cotton plant.
I like to wear clothes made from cotton in the summer.
Crash. To crash means to hit and break something.
There was a loud noise when the car crashed into the tree.
Deck. A deck is a wooden floor built outside of a house or the floor of a ship.
A ship will store many supplies below its deck.
Engage. To engage in something means to do it.
Dad was engaged in sawing a piece of wood in half.
Firm. When something is firm, it is solid but not too hard.
He sleeps better on a firm bed.
Fuel. Fuel is something that creates heat or energy.
Heat is the fuel that comes from fire.
Grand. When something is grand, it is big and liked by people.
The Grand Mountain rose high into the sky.
Hurricane. A hurricane is a bad storm that happens over the ocean.
The wind from the hurricane bent the palm tree.
Loss. A loss means the act or an instance of losing something.
I suffered a big loss while I was gambling.
Plain. If something is simple, it is plain and not decorated.
He bought a pair of plain white shoes over the weekend.
Reef. A reef is a group of rocks or coral that rise to or near the ocean.
He walked along the reef and looked at the water below.
Shut. To shut something means to close it tightly.
Please shut the door. The air outside is cold.
Strict. When someone is strict, they make sure others follow rules.
The teacher is strict. She does not let students talk in class.
Surf. To surf means to use a special board to ride on waves in the ocean.
The students went to the beach to surf during their vacation.
Task. A task is a piece of work to be done that is usually difficult.
My task for the weekend was to clean the entire backyard.
Zone. A zone is an area that has different qualities from the ones around it.
Firefighters often work in danger zones.
The two captains. Once there were two ships. Both ships carried cotton. The captains were very different. Thomas was strict. He made his crew engage in difficult tasks. Make sure the ship's deck is firm and that nothing falls. Put more fuel in the tank, he said. His ship was very plain, but he never had a problem with it. The second captain, William, was not serious. He had a grand ship, and he loved having fun. His crew amused him by singing and dancing. But his crew never fixed anything on the ship. They just wanted to surf. One day, Thomas saw a hurricane ahead. He knew that his ship needed to turn around. But he was sure William did not see the storm. He adjusted the dials on the radio and called his friend. Thomas said, "You'll hit the reef. It's made completely of coral. Turn around to ensure that you do not crash." William said, "We will go under the deck and shut the door. We will dance and sing until we are past the danger zone." When William's ship got to the hurricane, the wind blew it into the reef. The ship crashed, and water flowed below the deck. William's crew accused him of being a bad captain. The loss of the ship taught William a lesson. There are times to have fun, but there are also times to be serious. Apology. An apology is something someone says to show that they are sorry.
After arguing with her teacher, the girl wrote the teacher an apology.
Bold. If someone is bold, they are not afraid of doing something.
The bold man climbed the high mountain.
Capture. To capture someone or something is to catch them.
James tried to capture the bubbles in his hands.
Cardinal. If a rule or quality is cardinal, then it is the most important one.
Raising your hand in the classroom before you speak is a cardinal rule.
Duke. A duke is a man of high social rank, but below a king or queen.
The duke ruled over the land.
Expose. To expose is to make known something that is hidden.
He took off his shirt, exposing his costume.
Guilty. If people feel guilty, they feel bad for what they did.
I felt guilty for taking my sister's cookies.
Hire. To hire someone is to pay them money to work for you.
We hired a man to paint our house.
Innocent. If someone is innocent, they are not guilty of a crime.
The judge said that the woman was innocent of the crime.
Jail. Jail is a place where criminals go to be punished.
The thief was caught and sent to jail for 10 years.
Minister. A minister is an important person in government with many duties.
The Minister of Education controls the country's schools.
Ordinary. If someone or something is ordinary, they are not special in any way.
Today was just an ordinary day. Nothing unusual happened.
Permanent. If something is permanent, it lasts for a long time or forever.
We don't know if Aunt Mildred's visit will be a permanent one.
Preserve. To preserve is to protect something from harm.
Dad sprayed a chemical on the house to help preserve its looks.
Pronounce. To pronounce is to say the sounds of letters or words.
Young children often have trouble pronouncing words right.
Resemble. To resemble someone is to look like them.
The baby resembles his father a great deal.
Symptom. A symptom of a bad condition or illness is a sign that it is happening.
Sneezing and a high fever are symptoms of the common cold.
Tobacco. Tobacco is a plant whose leaves are smoked, such as in cigarettes.
The tobacco in cigarettes is bad for your health.
Twin. Twins are two children born at the same time.
My sister and I are twins. We look exactly the same.
Witch. A witch is a woman with magical powers.
People think that witches fly around on broomsticks. The Duke and the Minister. A mean duke grew tobacco, and his cardinal rule was to always keep the plants healthy. The duke's top minister was his twin brother. They closely resembled each other. One day, the tobacco plants started to die. He hired men to watch the fields. Soon, the men brought a woman to him and said, "We captured a witch." The duke asked, "How do you know?" She sang magic words. I can't pronounce them. She has cursed us. The death of the plants is a symptom of her curse, the men said. I am just an ordinary woman. I was singing a song in a different language, the woman protested. The Duke didn't listen. You are guilty. You will go to jail. The minister thought that she was innocent. He needed to expose the truth. He asked the Duke to loan him one of his plants. He looked at it closely. He saw hundreds of small bugs eating it. Then the minister went to the jail and did something bold. "Let this woman go," he said. The guards thought he was the Duke. They let her go. The minister said, "I owe you an apology." "Thank you. I thought my stay in jail was permanent," the woman answered. The minister thought the Duke would punish him, but he didn't. The Duke was too busy trying to preserve his plants.
Accompany. To accompany other people means to join them or go with them.
My brothers accompanied me to the movie.
Bare. When something is bare, it is plain. It has no covering.
He likes to walk around in his bare feet.
Branch. A branch is the part of a tree with leaves.
The monkey was hanging from a branch on the tree.
Breath. A breath is the air that goes into and out of one's lungs.
You can't take a breath underwater.
Bridge. A bridge is something that is built over a river so people can cross it.
The old bridge fell into the river.
Cast. To cast something means to throw it.
The fisherman cast his line into the water.
Dare. To dare means to be brave enough to try something.
He dared to jump out of the airplane and skydive.
Electronic. When something is electronic, it uses electricity to do something.
I like having electronic devices such as an MP3 player.
Inn. An inn is a place where travelers can rest and eat.
The visitor got a room at the inn.
Net. A net is a bag made of strong thread. It is used to catch animals.
The boy caught butterflies in his net.
Philosophy. A philosophy is a way to think about truth and life.
My philosophy is live and let live.
Pot. A pot is a deep round metal container used for cooking.
Don't touch the pot on the stove. It's hot.
Seed. A seed is the hard part of a plant or fruit that trees grow from.
I planted the seed in the dirt, hoping that it would grow into a tree.
Sharp. When something is sharp, it has a thin edge that cuts things easily.
That knife is very sharp. Be careful not to hurt yourself.
Sort. To sort means to separate things into different groups or classes.
He sorted his clothes by colors and sizes.
Subtract. To subtract means to take something away.
We learned how to subtract numbers from each other in class.
Tight. When something is tight, it is fixed or fastened firmly in place.
The knots were too tight to untie.
Virtual. If something is virtual, then it is very close to being true or accurate.
Because he's popular, Joe is the virtual leader of the group.
Weigh. To weigh something means to see how heavy it is.
The little dog weighed exactly 3 kilograms.
Whisper. To whisper means to say very quietly.
We have to whisper in the library so people can focus on reading.
The fisherman. Every day, a fisherman sat on a bridge. He ate apples and spit the seeds into the water. He had a simple way to catch fish. He cut a branch off of a tree and tied a line to it. He put a sharp hook on it and made a tight knot. Then he whispered, "Come here, fish." Like magic, the fish bit the hook. He put them in a big net and took them home to make big pots of fish soup from them. One day, another man walked up to him. He said, "My name is George. I am staying at the inn. I bet that I am a better fisherman than you. I will accompany you today. I dare you to prove your skill." The fisherman cast his line. George had a lot of electronic tools. One machine gave him the virtual locations of fish. His rod weighed fish. At the end of the day, George subtracted his fish from the fisherman's. The fisherman had beaten him by 47. George asked, "How do you catch fish with only a branch and a bare line?" "I have many different sorts of tools." The fisherman told George, "My philosophy is simple. I am patient, and I believe in myself. Take a breath, and try it my way." Abstract. If ideas are abstract, they are based on general ways of thinking.
The idea of beauty is abstract and changes over time.
Annual. If something is annual, it happens once a year.
The only time I see my aunts and uncles is at our annual family picnic.
Clay. Clay is a type of heavy, wet soil used to make pots.
She made a bowl out of the clay.
Cloth. Cloth is material used to make clothes.
His shirt is made of a very soft type of cloth.
Curtain. A curtain is a cloth hung over a window or used to divide a room.
She opened the curtains to let light into the room.
Deserve. To deserve is to be worthy of something as a result of one's actions.
The dog deserved a bone for behaving very well.
Feather. Feathers are the things covering birds' bodies.
That bird has orange feathers on its chest.
Fertile. If land is fertile, it is able to produce good crops and plants.
The farmer grew many vegetables in the fertile soil. The farmer grew many vegetables in the fertile soil.
Flood. A flood is an event in which water covers an area which is usually dry.
After 3 days of rain, there was a flood in the city.
Furniture. Furniture is the things used in a house, such as tables and chairs.
His living room only had a few simple pieces of furniture.
Grave. A grave is the place where a dead person is buried.
We visit our grandfather's grave each year.
Ideal. If something is ideal, it is the best that it can possibly be.
This house is an ideal place for my family. It has everything we need.
Intelligence. Intelligence is the ability to learn and understand things.
Because of his high intelligence, he finished school early.
Nowadays. If something happens nowadays, it happens at the present time.
In the past, people walked everywhere. Nowadays, they use cars.
Obtain.
Religious. When something is religious, it has to do with religion.
The holy man spoke about religious topics.
Romantic. When something is romantic, it has to do with love.
The young couple went to see a romantic movie.
Shell. A shell is a hard covering that protects the body of some sea creatures.
There were many pretty shells on the beach.
Shore. A shore is the edge of a large body of water.
All of the boats were floating near the shore.
Wheel. A wheel is a round thing on a vehicle that turns when it moves.
A car has 4 wheels. Osiris and the Nile. Long ago, Osiris was the king of Egypt, and Isis was the queen. They ruled the fertile land by the Nile River. They had great intelligence, and they shared their abstract ideas with everyone. Osiris taught the Egyptians how to make wheels and furniture. Isis taught them how to make things from clay and cloth. The people thought they deserved a gift, so they built Osiris and Isis a pyramid. Everyone loved Osiris except his brother Set. Set wanted to be king. Osiris made his annual trip around Egypt and led religious events. The villages gave him beautiful shells and colorful feathers as gifts. When Osiris returned, Set brought a beautiful wooden box from behind a curtain. "If someone fits inside this box, I will give it to him or her," Set said. Osiris got in it. It was an ideal fit. Suddenly, Set closed the box and threw it into the river. "Now I will be king," Set said. The box washed up on a foreign shore after a flood. Isis brought his body home and obtained a grave for him in Egypt. The Egyptian gods thought Isis had done something very romantic. Because of her love, the gods made him the god of the underworld. Osiris returned every spring to help the farmers. Even nowadays, people say Osiris keeps their crops alive.
Appeal. To appeal to someone is to be interesting or attractive to them.
Sleeping all day appeals to me, but I have to go to school.
Assume. To assume something is to think that it is true, even with no proof.
I assume you are both familiar with this plan?
Borrow. To borrow something is to take it and then give it back later.
Can I borrow a pencil to use today? I'll give it back to you tomorrow.
Client. A client is a person or business that pays another to do a service.
She has many clients who enjoy coming to her salon.
Downtown. The downtown is the center of most cities.
The downtown is filled with many tall buildings.
Dull. If something is dull, it is not exciting.
The movie was very dull. I fell asleep watching it.
Embarrass. To embarrass someone is to make them feel ashamed or foolish.
He was embarrassed when he couldn't remember her name.
Fare. A fare is an amount of money paid to use a bus, train, or taxi.
Since he is a senior, my grandfather pays a low fare for the bus.
Former. Former describes something that used to be, but is not anymore.
The hotel, a former castle, was built over 200 years ago.
Formula. A formula is a set mathematical way or method of solving a problem.
I learned a new formula that may help us with our problem.
Found. To found a company or organization means to start it.
The Pilgrims founded one of the first colonies in the United States.
Invest. To invest means to use money in a way that will bring a profit later.
I invested money in a new building that should bring me a profit.
Loan. A loan is the act of lending something, usually money.
I got a loan from the bank.
Practical. If something is practical, it is useful in normal life.
Learning English is practical. You can use it in many places.
Quarter. A quarter is 25 cents.
He paid a quarter for the candy.
Salary. A salary is how much money a person makes at his or her job.
He got a new job with a better salary.
Scholarship. A scholarship is money given to one so they can go to school.
I got a scholarship to help me pay for university.
Temporary. If something is temporary, it exists for a short time.
This car is only temporary. I'll get a new one soon.
Treasure. A treasure is a collection of valuable things, especially jewels or gold.
They became very rich when they found the buried treasure.
Urge. To urge someone is to try very hard to get them to do something.
He urged them to believe his story.
The taxi driver. Peter's job was driving a taxi downtown. He made a small salary. But he liked his job because it wasn't dull. Every day he saw new things that appealed to him. Peter was practical about the future. Maybe I can get a scholarship to college, he thought. I could learn mathematical formulas and get a job at a bank. I could help clients invest their money. Peter stopped to pick up a passenger. Where to? He asked. Go to the 4th Street Bank, and don't talk to me. I've had a rough day, the man said. Peter was angry, but he had a peaceful philosophy. When they stopped, the man's fare came to $10.25. He put his hands in his pockets. I can't find my wallet, he said. I can't pay the fare. Peter said, maybe I'll give you a temporary loan. You can borrow $10.25 from me. The man was embarrassed, saying, I was mean to you, but now I want to help you. I founded this bank. I want to give you $1,000. That much money was like a treasure to Peter. The man urged him to take the money, but he didn't. You're an honest person, the man said. I assumed you would take it. I want you to work for me. The next day, Peter started his job at the bank. He was happy to be done with his former job.